This video is going to cover GSA eBuy, how it works, what you need to know. I'll even be going over configuration right after your contract is awarded, or just if you want to make sure that upkeep is withheld, or if you make changes to your contract, what you might need to do to make sure that the changes are reflected in eBuy and you are getting all of the low competition opportunities through GSA that you intended to when you got into the GSA program. So let's jump right in with just the first thing from a mountaintop view. What is GSA eBuy? How does it work? You can see up here, there is the whole sequence top to bottom. The buyer, the agency buyer, these are from all agencies, Department of War, Department of Transportation, state, any and all of them. They have opportunities or they have requirements that they identify. It might be a large product purchase. It might be a large service need. So it's identified. It's then taken to their contract team and they are, tasked with building out what's called an RFQ, request for quote, or an RFP, request for proposal, or an RFI, request for information, and it gets posted. Now, an RFI, those come through GSA eBuy quite a bit. Those don't have dollars attached yet. They're just kind of seeking out vendor relationships to kind of get the process started. When you hear about government buyers knowing who they're going to use already, a lot of times it's because a vendor took a helpful role in the initial RFI stage. And then when it graduated upward into the RFQ stage and it was going forward with some dollars attached to it, that vendor already had a head start. You want to become that vendor. So get involved in RFIs that relate to you. So that RFQ gets posted, then is going to be notifying all of the contractors inside the GSA program. So if you have a GSA contract, you get an email. I'm going to show you that in a minute, and you can go ahead and pursue this. If you don't have a GSA contract, you're not going to get that email. You're not going to know about the opportunity until long after it's awarded, and you obviously can't win it at that point. So there is a competitive process once all the contractors are notified. So within a GSA category, you'll see kind of an example later on. All of the vendors within that category and even within subgroups are notified based on what the buyer, the agency buyer upstream, what boxes they checked. So if you sell plumbing parts, you're not going to get IT contracts sent to you. Everything's going to be pretty nicely kind of categorized into your industry, your niche, all that stuff. It's not going to be perfect. eBuy's pretty, kind of simple and basic overall, but just know you're not getting the fire hose of any and every category, just your categories. You then participate in that competitive process. Quotes are submitted, proposal writing, all of that stuff. They are submitted through the eBuy system. Evaluation happens from the agency buyers and then award. And that is basically the process there in a nutshell. So going into that email that comes in, you can see here's an example right here from eBuy_admin@gsa.gov. These all flow in, on a daily basis. These are all low competition bids in your niche coming right to you. You can see, here's kind of the anatomy of the email. It's got a lot of boilerplate, but it has the request ID. This is going to tell you what it is. RFI is an RFI, RFQ, so that's how you can quickly identify it. Status, new request. Here's some of the important dates, and here's the due date. Here's the date it was issued and the due date. And this request title is going to kind of give you a little taste of what the opportunity is. And based on this little tiny synopsis, you can decide if it is a good match for you or not. Maybe you scan it and you say, nope, that's not for me. You can always click through. And if you want to keep eBuy really tidy, you can mark it as no bid. Your list will always be tidy. If you don't care about that, you can ignore this and only go to the list of the bids that you're actively tracking. And that can be kind of like your little CRM of monitoring GSA eBuy opportunities. So you can see mapping software for Iowa City VA Medical Center. So that kind of tells you what it is. Okay, well, I do mapping software and I'm not located in Iowa City, but for software, you don't need to have a local presence. Cool. I'm going to go for this, or at least I'm going to click through and start downloading the documents and seeing if any of the, higher level markers are matches as well. So here's the email. Next is just the flow from login into the back end of eBuy. Now, if you don't have a GSA contract, you're not a GSA schedule vendor, you can't get past this page. This is a big wall, the paywall. You have to enter the program to be able to click this contractor button and actually enter. And when you do click that button, here's what you get. It's a username and a password. So this is as far as you're going to get without a GSA contract. The FAS ID is used. This is established early on in the GSA process. Once your contract's awarded, you're not going to have access to eBuy immediately. You're actually going to have to wait until some of your final paperwork processing and final reviews go through, and then you'll start getting those emails. That'll probably be the first indication that you are kind of approved into eBuy. But here's the contractor login. If you ever have problems, especially early on when your contract's just been awarded, check out these links: FAS ID help, need help signing in, forgot password. The FAS ID is usually pretty streamlined, but sometimes it has problems, and these are the places to go. First thing, you should probably try the forgot password, see if you can reset it. If that doesn't help, then try one of these two. You may have to go back and forth with the help desk so that they can kind of iron things out on the back end. But now, hey, you did it. You got into the system, and look at this. Here's kind of the landing page. You can search for opportunities. You can select an opportunity. You can respond, submit a quote. Now, at the very bottom, there's a big orange button, Find Opportunities Now. I'm not going to go in there, but this is basically very self-explanatory. You click on that, you see all the opportunities. Now, they'll be all lined up, and that's where you can kind of go down the list and prune the list if you want to, and click through and see, download the RFQ paperwork and see if it's something you do want to pursue. Now, I'll stop for a second and tell you this. eBuy opportunities can be very, very short deadlines, 7 days, 10 days. So you don't want to just check this once a month. Check it at least every day or every other day, because you're going to want every minute counts when you're pulling together a proposal, and you don't want to wait till the last minute and submit a proposal that is just not a great proposal. You want to have quality. So that's about it. Like I said, I'm not going deep into anything about the opportunities. It's just a list of opportunities, just like SAM, just like any other kind of system. That all is on you. You take it from there. But I did want to help with some of the configuration stuff. So let's go to the next screen. So up on the top, you can see you have some options up here. There's a profile. So click on that. That's going to take you to kind of like your back end, who, what, when, where, relating to your eBuy. So in your profile, you're going to see who is attached to what sends, and you can see your contract number and all that stuff. You have a couple options for buttons. So I'm just going to go into steps, but you can see the point of contacts here. Now you can add as many. I don't think there's a limit. There might be a limit, but I've never heard anybody come across it. You can add a lot of people to receive eBuy opportunities, not just one person. Or you could just have one person. It's up to you. You can toggle them with email notices on and off, even if you want them in there, but you don't want them to get the emails, or they go on vacation for 2 weeks, you could untoggle them. You can do all sorts of stuff. So this is the place to do it. Here's where you manage and add contracts. I'll go into the next scene here. So up here, manage/add contracts, manage mobile alerts. These are both really helpful. Now, eBuy isn't just for the GSA multiple awards schedule program, but all sorts of like GWACs, OASIS, STARS, Alliant, they all come into the system as well when opportunities drop. So if you have multiple contract vehicles with GSA, chances are you're going to have different areas within eBuy. It'll get a little bit more complex because you're going to want to bounce around those areas every day. If you want to make some adjustments to your points of contact here, you want to remove somebody, add somebody, whatever it may be, you click on add a new point of contact right there. To remove somebody, since there's only one person here, you'll start to see, you have the options to remove people as more than one contactor in there, but you always have to have one person. That's just the default minimum. So next, we're going to go ahead and go to the next one. So if we look here, like add POC, next to that is amend subgroups. Now that's an easy one to miss, and a lot of people actually forget or just don't do this, and it causes problems. The big problem that it causes is that you're not receiving all the opportunities that you can because you haven't gone in and configured your subgroups. Some SIN codes within the GSA mass don't have subgroups and some do have subgroups. So either way, you probably don't know, and you're going to want to click this button. And here's what you're going to see. You're going to see a list of subgroups that relate to your SIN that you are eligible to go ahead and check the boxes. And then at the bottom, it'll say submit. So for this 541611, check the box, check the box, check the box. If you don't do one of these, it's up to you. You can click it and see what is there. You can always come back and say, well, we're getting all these actuarial opportunities. That's not really what we do. I'm just going to trim the list down and eliminate it from the list. The only other thing I have to say about this is that some of these subgroups, it's really rare, but if you check all the boxes on this 541611, you'll probably get an email saying there's one subgroup you have to go through a modification to qualify for. It's rare. Most of these subgroups, you're going to check the boxes and you're going to get those opportunities immediately. Like, they're not going to backfill, but they are going to show up going into the future. But you'll probably get an email from one of them if it is in that small group saying, we didn't do that for you, but we're going to, here's the process to add it if you want to. And if it is something that's very, very central to what you do, go ahead and add it. There's no reason not to. And that's actually the end of the video. We're done with the subgroups, and now we're, kind of done with eBuy. Everything is configured after you get to this point, and you're just in maintenance mode. Go after those bids, get a really solid process to go, no-go them, get a really solid process to handle proposal writing over the long term. And that's it. What I found, all you need is access, which is what the GSA program gets you, access to systems like eBuy, and good systems, getting better over time. So you'll start out, you're not going to be the best. After the first couple of months, you're going to be pretty good. Couple more months, really good, great. So you build up as you're doing it. Learn as you go. That's all I've got for you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I will be scanning the comments. Make sure you make sure you subscribe. Subscribing is important because I do these GSA videos that nobody else really dives into a good bit. And as you can tell with this video, this is some stuff that you're not going to be maximizing your GSA contract unless you know this stuff. So make sure you know it. Make sure you subscribe.